So again, I'm Lon Haas with HPE Aruba. So I think most everybody knows what we do, but just in case you don't, wireless, wired, security, and SD-WAN, which I just found out today is an obsolete technology.
You sold me something that's dead. Jeez.
Yeah, so I want to apologize. I want to apologize to you, Brian, in front of everybody. I'm sorry I sold you an obsolete technology. Also with us is Steve Dahlberg and John Spiegel. John came to us through the acquisition of Access Security. John's kind of our field CTO for Access Security. He lives in Portland, he's never here.
I know, you're always asking me, hey, can you go do this for me?
Yeah. So what we decided to do today at the recommendation from Eric is to actually bring one of our clients in, and we're going to speak. Brian's going to speak, actually. I'm going to ask him a few questions about the transformation that they went through starting in 2022, roughly. We met back in 2021 as the world was coming out of the pandemic. And they made a decision to fund a project to transform their wide area network, which was a traditional router-centric branch firewall MPLS network. And that's when we got an opportunity to speak with Brian. And so we've already introduced Brian as the VP of Infrastructure and Operations. How long have you been with Marcus and Millichap?
Too long. I've been with Marcus Millichap probably over 30 years, back when they had modems, and everything else was old. We've been through a Sprint network and AT&T network, which Lon knows that we're trying to get off of. And I think now that I'm moving a technology that's dead, it's time to move on to the next one. So, but these two guys, or now three, that they kind of paved the way for us. We've been looking at this for probably the 5 or 6 years that have been virtualizing hardware a long time ago. And it never happened with AT&T. It tried to happen. And we're going down the Velo Cloud area. And then now I met Lon in 2021, 2020. Yep. Like everybody else, we were prone to basically go into the remote mode back in 2020. And then when we were coming out of it, it just so happens it's great that you keep in contact with all the vendors that we do. And that's how we got introduced to him. And now we are where we're at. Eric said we're done, but we're not done transitioning. We have, we're in our second phase. We're getting there, but we're already looking at the next phase, which is the access side and everything, and SASE and security, which I think you're correct as far as the way that we look at things. To me, as soon as you move to something, you're already looking for the next thing that we're moving to. It's already, that's the way things change so quickly. Yeah. And I think that's where Lon and Steve, that they've guided us into moving to this platform, which we have to get off of our old MPLS network, not only for moving to the next platform, but also we'll probably save ourselves $1 million a year. Yeah. Because if you go from MPLS towards the SD-WAN environment, it's a no-brainer. But then what's next? And then I got my cybersecurity guy hounding on my back saying, no, we have to do this, we have to do that, because there's SASE, there's everything else. So there's a lot of people. And then I have to answer to the board to get the funding for it, which Lon and Steve helped me to get the funding for it. So now what's my next move? And that's where this whole Fireside chat, he wants me to talk about this stuff, but it just, the transition part of it is the toughest part. For a company of our size, 70 plus offices, plus 20, what they call not so offices, you can look at our website. We're a $1 billion company. We make a lot of sales, but we're a sales company. We're not a tech company. We're not a company like a lot of companies that are manufacturing anything of themselves. I have to answer to type A. You heard of type A, but we got type AAA. So, something is down, something's not working. I can get a call at 2 in the morning because some guy in New York can't get on the network. But these are the things that we have built in with Steve and the help of Steve and Lon of just getting this redundancy built in. And if we can't do that, and as far as I was very interested in this, the data recovery things, because everything is going to the cloud, but it's not in the cloud. So you have a lot of balance, and I think everybody, if you're a client, it's trying to balance that. How do we move forward? But then there's budgets that have to pull you back because you don't have all the open checkbook to basically do everything in the world.
So Brian, think back to when the project got initiated, and it was actually before we met, right?
Yeah.
You started down a path with another company, and then COVID hit, and then we met, which was good for us and good for you.
Well, there was good things that came out of COVID.
Yeah.
And the thing that came out of COVID
Yeah.
is we met and we got to reiterate this. We've been looking at SD-WAN way back when as virtualizing hardware with AT&T, but then COVID hit, and then
Yeah. So why was this the right time? Why was this the right time to do SD-WAN?
well, we looked at their competition, which is VeloCloud and everything else as far as SD-WAN, and we looked at everything else, and the right time was because the platforms had evolved. And if you keep on looking at things, everything keeps on evolving, whether it's networking, security, and everything else. But now it was the right time when we met, and it being in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
We're coming out of COVID, and everybody was coming back into the office. Right. Our guys were sneaking into the office during COVID, but still, yeah. I mean, it just was that point where we needed a new platform because they expected more. The business expected, when I walk into the office, everything works. Nobody cares about electricity and plumbing. All of you guys know that. You go walk into, everybody walks into their place. It's got to work. But now, you know, they came in and he just happened to be in the right place at the right time. Yeah. And we met and we went on this venture.
Yeah. So Brian, Altera had mentioned, William from Altera had mentioned, you know, a key part of their strategy is this common language through API integration, right? And one of the things that I think we helped you with was the security side, right? You guys were also looking to modernize your security, your guy Rob, and they were looking at Zscaler, ZIA at the time, right? Yeah. And you know, I think Altera's got the right message, right? Being open, architecting via APIs, so we can participate and bring in and be open and participate in the ecosystem, right? In this case, you guys were doing both, and I think that was one of the things that really helped you see what we could do for you by partnering up with some other company and bring a total solution.
Yeah, you know, when we met these guys, we were already moving. We had Zscaler, but then we also had these routers. We had these firewalls. They were from a vendor that's very big, but you know, I mean, it's just one of those things that when we met with them, the way that it all came together is they folded everything together. They integrated with the firewalls, and we've came up with it, and Steve came up with this as virtualizing the firewalls so that I don't have to deal with updating an iOS here on the router. And we got rid of the routers, we got rid of the firewalls. And I don't know if anybody has SmartNet, but that's a big ripoff. But I mean, if there's any Cisco people, I don't care. But it's just one of those things where I think it all started to come together. And is it evolving to more? Yes. I was there when they announced they acquired Access and all this stuff, and trying to get everything, but everybody talks about being a single vendor. Yes, it makes sense, but it doesn't make sense.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I came from the Silver Peak acquisition into Aruba. And one of the things that I personally really enjoyed about Silver Peak is they were an open company, right? So they were really the first to invest in these API integrations with the security ecosystem. You know, it was physical firewalls there for a while, and then all these cloud-based security companies came to fruition. And that's one of the things that we've held on to at Aruba is we are still open. Now we've acquired Access Security, right? But the clear message from Aruba is we're going to remain open. We're going to invest in the ecosystem partnerships. And so that's not changing. That's not changing. We have clients and prospects who want one vendor for everything,
Single vendor.
and we can provide that, but we aren't changing our approach to being open. Now, the other thing that you were really trying to solve for is the fact that you don't have a lot of budget to hire people, right? And speaking of getting your time back, right? So we also introduced you to another organization, right?
Yeah.
We don't need to name them, but they're providing you a managed service.
If you can believe this, we have 71 plus offices throughout the US and Canada. Over 3,000 or 4,000 people that are within the company. And then I have 5 guys. I have 5 guys that run the entire electrical and plumbing for the entire company. I know all of the rest of you guys have a lot of money that you guys can hire a lot of people, but I don't have that. I have 2 guys. One guy that's really big networking guy, and another guy that is basically coming up and coming, but he manages our UC system. So the resources, and we talk about managed services as Sky Data was talking about. I mean, we are evolving to the point where I have to answer to the board, executive team, and everything else. And maybe nobody else has to do that, but it's just a matter of, I can't just write a check. I can't just manage everything the way it is. So everybody has to manage things differently. I have 5 guys that manage. I have 2 guys that managed our entire WAN for the entire United States. We're a $1 billion company. We do $1 billion sales. Guys do deals that are $20 million deals. And they expect it all to work and all to happen.
All the time.
All the time,
Yeah.
every time. They walk into an office, they pick up a phone, these Cisco phones. It is amazed that my CIO and the CFO say, why can't we everybody work off of their computers and do this Zoom and Teams and WebEx things? You talk to my sales guys. They said, bullshit, Brian. I come in, I pick up my headset, I am on the phone. That better work because my cell phone doesn't work all the time. You have these devices that these guys bring in and it's supposed to work, but it doesn't work. So I have to answer to type AAA people that they don't, they need to be connected. They need to be connected to their clients. They're the revenue producing people. And if all of you have to deal with salespeople, which I think half of you guys are salespeople, but it's a different environment for us.
Right.
And-
So, I mean, you would, and this arrangement's working out pretty well. You've pointed out that your organization is saving a heck of a lot of money annually now.
When we're done with the project, we're saving $1 million a year.
Yeah.
From MPLS to an SD-WAN environment, to a dead technology. So I don't know what's next. And, so we're still in the process. Are we done yet? Everybody can mark this date, but it's August 4th, 2024 is when our contract with AT&T's MPLS is up and done. So, all of you need to, when we move forward to a next platform, but your eyes need to be open as far as what's the next platform.
Right.
What's the next integration with Access,
Yeah.
with SD-WAN, with the redundancy. We moved to this platform because of reliability, redundancy, and everything else.
And a managed service.
And we have, I have to go to a managed service because I can't manage the entire WAN.
Yeah.
Unless I have somebody else managing it. Now, that's why I was interested in Sky Data because they, manage services for data recovery, but everybody, all my guys think, oh no, we can do that.
You just got to get them in an interview with those 2 guys and they might
I
think differently.
want to hire some guys and some vets and say, hey, you guys come help manage our stuff. But It doesn't work that way.
So Brian, just because we're between dinner, right?
Yeah,
We've got
everybody's waiting for dinner.
yeah,
so.
everybody's waiting for dinner. So when do you think I mean, we're pretty far along in the project. We should be done and wrapped up this summer, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Right. And then what's next? What's next, do you think, project-wise?
Well, the whole thing is like, we don't want to go, you talk about one vendor, right? You know, nobody wants to do it one vendor and all this stuff. But a lot of it makes sense because we're looking to get off of our old Cisco centralized VPN service. Well, how do we get away from that? By the time we make that decision after August, there's going to be something new that's going to come out. ZTNA and all this rest of stuff. I mean, virtual firewalls. Are we going to still be with Zscaler when our contract comes up in 2025? Probably not, because the next best thing. So the agility for all of you, for everybody, as far as business owners go, they're looking at us to basically migrate to things that are the next cutting edge technology that comes up. Because I have to answer to a board who are people that are not even part of our company. So all of you, you know, when you're looking at things and you're listening to the podcast, to everything else that goes on with this stuff, you know, everything changes in 6 months.
Yeah.
Everything is going to migrate to be the access part of it. Are they going to be able to fill our security measures that we have to answer to the audit company, that we have to answer? Because everybody can bring technology as fast as they can. But if you can't satisfy our auditors who are uneducated in the way that we do business, as far as answering to our salespeople, you know, all of you, it's keeping up and adding the, you know, the 3 people that help you maybe even look out for you.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
just to get those things to work. I mean, it's just,
So it's important that the platforms that you choose have the ability to partner up with the rest of the ecosystem, so you have flexibility and choice.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's important.
yeah, I mean,
Would you say?
yeah. You have to have that flexibility to basically move from platform to platform to platform. And if you don't, you're kind of locking yourself into, like, I don't mind.
You were locked in, right? You were locked in.
You know, we were locked into AT&T until August 4th. Everybody remember the date. I mean, it's just one of those things where we have a contract. We have to spend $100,000 a month because until August 4th.
Yeah.
You think about that. I mean, you're talking about $1.2 million a year that you have to spend because you're locked into a contract.
Yeah.
So the mobility, as far as moving platforms, as far as where you can go, you need to think about that. If you're not thinking about that, you're behind already.
Yeah.
Like, he already killed my SD-WAN.
Yeah, it's over. It's time to move on.
You know, I got to move on from him because he told me that this thing's dead.
Yeah.
You know, but
yeah.
You know,
Actually, William confirmed for me that
Eric said it's dead. But these things, as far as leaders go, and your mindset goes, if you're not listening to things that are out there that project you into the future, and you're not thinking ahead, things change every 6 months. Things change every 3 months.
Yeah, and that's really one of the values of 3Tree. You know, that is one of the services that they provide.
Yeah, and they provide that, and I think, you know, to this day, I just met it because he introduced me to them. But the mindset that you guys, everybody as leaders have, if you don't have this and you're not thinking ahead and you're locked into your day-to-day and things, you're not a leader. If you're locked into your day-to-day, you're an engineer. And all of my engineers cannot see that. So it's my job to basically see ahead as far as where we're going next.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, hey, I think we've got 43 seconds. Let's give him back. Let's give the 43 seconds back.
43 seconds, go get a good burger. You know what?
Yeah.
You know.
Thank you all for taking the time to listen to the journey that Brian and his team have been on. It's been a lot of fun, Brian. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And we're going to do more.
We're going to do a lot more.
Yeah, we're going to do
Sorry.
a lot more. Thanks, guys.